بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين. أعزائنا الطلاب، مرحبا بكم في برنامج درس على الهواء. Welcome to the English session, especially for students in grade 11. For today's session, inshallah, we will cover the second unit of theme 2, which will present teens and adults. This lesson will focus or will cover pages 20 and 21 of the course book and pages 18 and 19 of the workbook. It doesn't work here. Okay. This lesson is supposed to cover those two learning outcomes. So at the end of this lesson, students will be able to use the language associated with teenagers, and they will review some ways of differentiating between uses of past simple and past continuous. The lesson will take this procedure. As you can see the steps here, we will start with discussion questions in the course book, page 20, and then we will move to have a vocabulary task on page 18 of the workbook. Then we will have a reading passage in the course book, page 20, which is supposed to prepare students for the grammatical rule. Then we will have a short explanation of the two rules, past simple and past continuous. After that, we will have a reference to the grammar recall in the course book, page 21. Then we will have two practice tasks, one in the course book, page 21, and the other one will be in the workbook, page 19. At the end of the lesson, we will have a Kahoot quiz. So please prepare your iPads or mobile phones or computers just to plug to the quiz and take the code from the screen. Your homework will be task number 4, page 19 of the workbook. So let's start the lesson together. As you got with my previous colleague, Mr. Abdullah, we talk a lot about teenagers and this stage of adolescence, differences, good things and bad things about this stage of life. To start with, we have list or 2 or 3 questions here together. Look at the questions that you have in your course book, page 20. You're supposed to discuss these 3 questions with your colleagues, but since you are doing the task at home, let me move to have a flashback or to have a short reflection in each one of them. As you can see here, question number A, in what ways, if any, has your relationship with your parents has changed? Here we will focus on the relationship between teenagers and their parents. Do you think that there are some changes when you move to this? When you move to this stage of your life, did you notice any changes? Here I have a response from one of the students who reflect on this special question, and she said, my relationship with both parents became strained, continuous, and competitive. I felt misunderstood and resented their condescending attitude. This is one answer which is reflected by one of the students. And as you can see, we will highlight the difference in communication skills, psychological differences, differences in communication skills between adults and teenagers. For the second questions, Why do you think parents and teenagers sometimes find it difficult to communicate with each other? Here we have to focus. There is somehow a gap between adults and teenagers. Do you think that there are certain reasons to have such differences? The same student answered this question. She said young people may develop ideas, maybe because of the cultural differences, their young ambitions, and their fresh thoughts about the life. They are moving to be more independent in this stage. Let us read her answer. Young people may develop ideas, values, and beliefs that are different to those of their parents. This is a part of the normal process. It is really a normal process, and it happens with everyone, of moving towards independence. So we cannot say that teenagers really wants to be independent in this stage, and they ignore all the instructions and orders that come out of other people. Could be their older sisters and brothers, and sometimes their parents. Move to question C. Is the relationship between parents and teens easier if a teen has older brothers and sisters? Let us see what did this student said. She mentioned a list of different things which reflect that she agrees. The relationship between parents and teenagers will be easier if they have some older sisters and brothers, because they will have less stress and they will have close family friends. She meant her brothers and sisters. They will treat her as a friend. Her parents will treat her better because they dealt with my siblings in this stage, and I agree with her. Sometimes whenever you have experience, or when you experience something, your behavior will be better with the next experience. Wish you all the best. Inshallah, you will have a good stage of life. Okay. Now, let us move to the workbook. In this task, we're supposed to prepare ourselves to answer a vocabulary task. We have a list of vocabulary, as you can see on the left side: interrogate, moody, critical, suspicious, comparing, untidy, treats, and glued. We're supposed to fill in the gaps we have here from 1 to 8. And we have to find the answers to choose between the vocabulary we have in the left side. But before we do the activity, we'll try to move on the meanings here by using the word wall task. Let's check the meanings of the words together. As you can see, number 1, I have to search about a word which means not trusted. And here I have 4 choices. I have to choose between the 4 choices I have: suspicious, critical, glued, and moody. Not trusted refers to A, which is suspicious. If the words are new for you, please, you may repeat the words after me. Suspicious is the correct choice. Unpredictable changes of mood. I have glued, comparing, moody, and interrogate. Most of them are new words for you, but since we have the word mood in the screen, you can notice that this word is a part of a choice C, which is moody. So moody, it could be the correct, it is the correct answer. Number 3, comments and judgments about something. Here we have 4 choices. Suspicious, we have got this word before, so we will not choose it. We have glued, critical, and interrogate. Comments and judgments refers to C, which is critical. Asking questions. Whenever you do something, you will face list of questions. In this place, we have to search for. We will leave moody and critical because we chose this before. They are left, we got their meanings. We have interrogate and glued. Asking lots of questions about something refers to the word interrogate, which is a verb. Now, look at the screen. Finding differences between two people or things. Whenever you search about differences and similarities about something, that means we are comparing. Paying very close attention to something, we finished comparing, moody, and suspicious. So the last choice is glued, which is an adjective. Should be the correct answer. Let's see the answers together. Here, as you can see, not trusted, suspicious, unpredictable, changes of mood, moody, comments and judgments, critical, asking questions, interrogate, finding differences between two people or things, comparing, paying very close attention is glued. Okay, let's move. I couldn't search, couldn't find the page here. It works. I finished the task, but it couldn't move to the PowerPoint. I need to go back to the PowerPoint. We couldn't move. Okay, we'll come back.
حقائق ومعلومات وأساطير عن الإنسان والمكان بكل ما فيه. نعبر البحر لنصل إلى الشواطئ والخلجان، ونقطع المسافة بين المدينة والقرية الحالمة في رؤوس الجبال، لنصور جزءاً من المشهد العماني بتاريخه العريق وحاضره المجيد. الموسوعة العمانية تأتيكم في الأوقات التالية على عمان الثقافية.
Sorry for that technical interruption. Now let's go back to our task, and we will start answering the vocabulary task in your workbook, page 18. Teenagers talking about parents. Here we have a situation or some different sentences related to teenagers when they talk to their parents or they reflect their situation. Here, they are always, we're supposed to match the words in the left to the sentences we have in the second side. They are always, and we have dash of me, as if I am up to not good. They don't trust me at all. The key words here are not good, and we have don't trust me. We got one of the words in the second side that give us the meaning of not trusted, which is suspicious. So the answer should be suspicious. When I want to go out, number 2, look at 2. When I want to go out, I have here to focus on the phrase I have, since they and we have me, I have to find another verb. Let me find some other key words that help me to find the correct answer. Where are you going? Who are you going with? What time will you back? These are a list of questions. So when I want to go out, they ask me some different questions. We have to find a verb which means asking questions, which is the first one, interrogate. Number 3, they are always me to my older sister. See, we have two people here. Me to my sister, my older sister. She is perfect, I am not. I need to check any word that makes or find out differences and similarities between some people or two things. We have to find the word which is comparing. They are, number 4, they are so a dash of me all time. I can't seem to do anything right. I have also to find any adjective that suit having or finding some negative things about someone, which is to be criticized. The word is critical. Now let's move to 5. Here in the second part, I have to find 4 other words. I finished with interrogate, I finished a critical, suspicious, and comparing. Now I need to choose between the other 4 words. She used to be so sweet, but now she is always bad-tempered. Sweet and tempered, I have to find a word which is a part of this category, which represent feelings. The most appropriate word is moody. Number 6, He is to his computer. He even eats in front of it. Look at the second sentences are completing each other. To his computer, that means he's staying for a long time with his computer. He even eats in front of it. I have to find an adjective which means sticking to the same thing for a long time, which is glued. We have always been a close family, but now she, me, and I have, between brackets, I have a sentence, her own mother. The mother is talking now. She, and I need to check a verb. She, a verb, then me, as if I am stranger. The only left verb is treat. Treats. Number 8. He is so. I need to have an adjective here. What kind of adjectives is left? I finish glued, treats, and moody. Let's check untidy. He is so. He leaves his clothes lying all over the floor. So untidy is the most or the last choice that we have, and it is the correct answer. May check your answers in your workbook, page 80. Now, let's move to the next activity, which is a reading passage between a teacher and his student. Here we'll talk about Nasser, who is a student taught by Mr. Hamad. And he has, of course, Nasser is one of the teenagers in your age. And he has a situation with his student, supposed to solve the problem with the students so that they have an interview together. Teachers as well as parents worry about teenage behaviors. Read the dialogue between Mr. Hamad, an English teacher, and Nasser, a 17 years old student. Have you or has anyone you know been in a similar situation? Of course, most of us might face similar situations, but let us have this text together. While they were talking, they presented some different activities and different sentences. Why different issues with Nasser? He caused a problem for himself because of some impolite behaviors in the session. Why we are studying this text, considering the problem between the teacher and the teenage student, and considering the grammatical structure that we will have here. As you can see, the reading passage includes some different tenses. You will see the words highlighted with the blue color and underlined. Wanted, was, were feeling, looked, I saw, were not paying attention, were closing, were snoring. As you can see here, we have certain tenses which are past simple and past continuous. We will take some of the sentences that are found in the text. I classified them into two categories, as you can see here in the screen, the past simple and the past continuous in the right side. And I listed 3 examples for each type of them. I saw your eyes. Here the verb is so. I did my homework. The sentence is not closed here. I did my homework, then I watched television, then I went to bed. Of course, here is Nasser is talking about himself. Okay, look at the right side. You were falling asleep in my lesson. You were not paying attention. Nasser was snoring. Look at the kind of verbs that we have in each side. The past simple tense consists of the subject, which is I, then the verb, which is so. The second sentence, the subject is I, did. Of course, we can replace the subject using some other pronouns and some other doer of actions. But since we are presenting the examples from the same text, I took them exactly. Then the second side, look at the second side, which is past continuous. You were falling asleep in my lesson. The subject is you. Here you have the subject in the past continuous, and look at the form of the verb. Were falling is a full verb. Were falling, were not obeying, was snoring. The verb includes was or were plus the verb plus the ing. This is the form of the past continuous. Compared to the past simple, it has the verb in its second form, which include regular and irregular and verbs to be. Let's see each one of them. In the past simple, look at the usage. Why we need to use the past simple tenses? Past simple tenses are used to reflect completed actions, things that happened in the past and finished. And here we have an example. I went to cinema yesterday. I, the subject, went is the verb. Went is the verb. To cinema is the rest of, or the completion of the sentence. Things that happened in the past and finished. When we talk about the whole activity, we are not considering the duration or the time in any way. Actions which indicate orders. This is the second usage of past simple. Actions which indicate order. They moved to Muscat for 2 months, then I went to Salalah. If I go back to the previous slide, I can notice I did my homework, then I watched television, then I went. Here I have a series of different verbs, did, watched, went, which indicate order. And I have the same thing in this sentence. They moved to Muscat, then I went to Salalah. They moved to Muscat for 2 months, then I went Salalah. They moved, he was, or his family, then I went to Salalah. It means that the two actions are following each other. Okay, look at the past continuous. We may have some different cases in using the past continuous. Here I listed only 3, the most important usages. We use the past continuous to indicate interruptions whenever we have to one situation, and then at the middle of the situation you or I face another interrupting situation. Look at the example. I was watching TV when the phone rang. I have 2 actions. One of them is longer than the other one, and the second action happened in the middle of the first action. Look at, this is watching TV here, watching TV. The phone rang could be in this point. So phone rang is the interruption, and the normal situation or the main situation is watching TV. Specific times. Last night at 9 o'clock they were sleeping. Here I have a definite time in which at 9 o'clock they were sleeping. I have definite time. Then at that time they were doing that action, were sleeping in the middle of their sleeping time. The third use is parallelism, which means having 2 different situations happening at the same at the same time, but they are not interrupting each other. Like the example that we have here, when Ahmed was playing tennis, his sisters were studying English. See, Ahmed is working alone, and his sisters were working alone. Ahmed took a duration or a time limit for his work, and his sisters too. They are the two actions happen at the same time. This is Ahmed's playing tennis, and here is his sisters were studying. So this is called parallelism. Now, I got the same example. I will use the same example to indicate all usages that we have for past simple and the past continuous, just to make it more clear for you. Look at the two examples. Ahmed studied English and students played football. There are two examples. But in every time they got different meaning. Ahmed studied English, an action which happened in the past and finished. It doesn't reflect any duration, and the time is not mentioned here. Students played football, an action which happened in the past and finished also in the past. Now we will use the two examples to indicate the second usages of past simple. Ahmed studied English, then he played football. See, the second example indicates the order. I have two actions which followed each other. We mainly need to use such kind of tense in reflecting stories, events, to say what happened at first, second, third, and so on. So it indicates a procedure of doing something in the past, something which happened and finished. Then we will use the same examples to indicate the usages of past continuous too. Ahmed, while Ahmed was studying English, he heard a big noise. Here we indicate interruption. The big action was studying. So Ahmed spent his time studying English. This is the long action. Then he heard a big noise. So this is the action. Then the noise in the middle of the main action. Here is the noise. It means interruption. Then Ahmed was studying at 9 a.m. It means specific point. I have now 9 a.m. At that time, Ahmed was studying. He started before 9 and he completed after 9. So it should be having an action for a long time or for a period of time in the past. Look at the third example. Ahmed was studying English and the other students were playing football. Ahmed was studying English. He did an action and he was alone. At the same time, the other students in his class were playing football. So they have two different actions in different places, but they did the actions at the same time, and both of the two activities took time. Here we indicate a duration. Whenever we want to focus on time or the period of time needed to finish an activity, we may use the past continuous. Now, how can we form the past symbol? Before we talk about the past symbols forms, here we have types of verbs. Past symbol is special in the form of verbs in which we have the three categories. Verbs to be, which are was and were. And it is clear here from the screen, we use was with I, he, she, and it. And also were, which is used with we, you, and they. These verbs are called verbs to be. And also we have regular and irregular verbs. Regular verbs, as you know, ends with ed. Normally, when we change this kind of verbs to past form, we only add ed. Irregular verbs, which take some other forms whenever we change them to past simple or past participle, like go, went, get, got. Even if we have some small changes in the vowels only, it could be one letter or more. It could be a change, a big change in the whole word. Go and went, as you can see, the word has changed completely. Get and got, the only change is the vowel letter. Buy and bought, the whole word has changed. Send and sent, the only change is the consonant, which is the last letter, D, changed to be T. No and new, also a change in the vowel letters. Compared to the regular verbs, it only added ed. Now, look at the forms of past simple. We have certainly three shapes. Sentences, no sentences when we say subject plus was or were, they were friends. And if I use the main verbs, of course, here, whenever I use verbs to be, like was and were, and as we said, I use was with I, he, she, and it. I use were with they, we, and you. They were friends. They indicate plural, and here I have were. The other types of verbs, whenever I use the main verbs, regular and irregular verbs, the sentence will be in this form: subject plus the verb plus ed. If I'm using the regular verbs, she worked yesterday. The subject, and here we have the verb and we have the completion of the sentence. If I have the negative form of a sentence, when you have to replace answer yes or no answers, she was not or they were not. They were not friends. See the same sentence. They were not friends. Here I'm saying they were friends. But here I'm saying the opposite, the negative form. They were not friends. Was plus not. They were not friends. Verbs to be. Look at the second type of verbs, regular and irregular verbs. The subject, the indication here will be changed to not, wasn't. We will use didn't. Subject plus didn't plus the main verb. Of course, the verb here, since we have the word did, the main verb will not have ed. Why? Because did here replace the past form. Did play the role of the past tense here, so we are not supposed to add ed in the negative form. When I say didn't watch, didn't write, didn't work. As you can see here from the example, she, the subject, didn't represent the past tense, did not, and the main verb is work. Look at the verb, work without ed. Why? Because the past tense indicated by the word did and didn't, and the completion of the sentence. Now, if I want to form a verb using the past simple forms, I will change the place of was. Look at the first one, the possessive sentence here. She was or they were friends. Whenever I form the question, I will put was before was or were before the subject. Then I will add the subject here. Then the rest of the sentence. Were they friends? They weren't friends. was or were plus the subject plus the completion of the sentence. Here we have the answer, they weren't friends. Were or were they friends? Was or were plus the subject plus the completion of the sentence. Now, if I have the second type of verbs, regular and irregular verbs, look at the question form. Did, I will start not by was, not by were. I will start with the word did, which represent the past tense. Did plus the subject. Subject is the doer of the action, then the main verb. He, she, they, or maybe names. You may use Fatma, Ahmed, and so on. Did plus the subject. Did, subject, the verb, and the other completion of the sentence. And make sure in questions also, whenever I use the word did, the question that represents past tense will not be in the past tense form, because we replace the tense by using did. Whenever we have did or didn't in the questions or answers, we will reflect the past tense using this word. Okay? What about the past continuous? Here we have the verb or the form. As we said before, the past continuous might have two shapes. Was and were, plus the verb, plus the ing. I will refer to the pronouns used with was. Here, as you can see, I, he, she, and it are used to indicate the singular form. I was visiting, he was visiting, it was visiting, and so on. Where indicate the plural form, like you, we, and they. But look at the third category, which is verbs group. Do we have any changes here? The singular and plural is indicated by using the words was and were, and they both play the role of helping verb. The main verb will include ing at the end, like visiting, studying, chatting, reading, writing, going, and cutting. Look at the forms. How can we form the past continuous? We have also three forms. The first one is the positive sentence. When we want to tell something, subject plus where, was or were, according to the singular and plural, plus the verb plus ing. Look at the example here. She was cooking all morning. Here I have was cooking, and the subject is she. Was, because we have the subject she, and then we have the verb plus ing. Look at the question. Whenever we have a question, or the negative form, she was not, let's start with the negative form. She was not sleeping when he came home. She was not. The subject was not. The verb was not sleeping. Was, because we refer to she, the subject is she, we use was, which represents singularity. Was not sleeping when he came home. When we say he didn't, someone or someone didn't do something. She was not sleeping when he came home. Then, if we want to form the question, we will also move was and were. Look at the negative form, she, was, and were. In the question form, we will take was and were first, then the subject, then the verb. Look at the example. Was she sleeping? Was. Look at the subject. Was she sleeping? Here we have the subject between the helping verb, which is was, and the main verb is after the subject. Was, which is was and were. Then we have sleeping, the main verb, when he came home. We have to end the questions using also question marks. It is important to know that past continuous is not used with all verbs. We have a list of verbs here: know, hate, own, want, need in their infinitive form. I can change all these verbs to be past form or past simple: knew, hated, owned, wanted, needed. But actually, I cannot use any of them to indicate continuous. I cannot say knowing, hating, or owning, wanting, or needing, because they are mental activities. We cannot state them using the action activities. So with those verbs, I cannot use the past continuous. I'll use past simple, but I can't use the past continuous. Now, go back to your course book, to the grammar recall, and let's answer the task here. Read the sentences on the left here and match them to the usages on the right. Before we start reading the sentences, we will read the usages. Past simple is used in completed actions in the past, and we have used past continuous to describe an ongoing activity in the past and something that was happening in the past when another action happened. We said this as interruption. Look at sentence number 1. I was doing my homework. Was doing is a past continuous. My homework when my friend knocked on the door. This sentence indicates two actions. One of them is bigger than the second one. I was doing, and then I have knocked on the door. That means was doing is the long activity, and here knocked in the middle of this action. So this indicates interruption. So choice C will be the correct choice. Something that was happening in the past when another action happened. In March 2009, Oman won the Gulf Cup. Okay, it is clear here I didn't use any of the continuous forms, so the only choice will be A. Completed action that happened in the past and finished. She was wearing a lovely pink dress and silver shoes. She was wearing lovely pink dress and silver shoes, an ongoing activity in the past to reflect duration. So B will be number 3. C, A, B. Look at task number 3 of page 21 of your course book, and let us choose the correct answer according to the meaning of the sentences. A. We were having or had dinner when there was a power cut. It is clear that we have two actions, having dinner, and we have when there was a power cut. Two actions, one of them is bigger or longer, and the second one is shorter. It indicates that the was power cut is the interrupting action. So we were having dinner when there was power cut. J.K. Rowling taught English before she wrote or was writing the Harry Potter books. Was writing or wrote. She wrote the Harry Potter books because it has finished completed action in the past. Look at C. When I first lived abroad, I experienced or was experiencing my problems. I experienced, because here you can see one, or you can put the actions in different order. I first lived abroad, then I experienced many problems. What were you doing, or what did you do at 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon? We said whenever we have a certain time, indicator should be positive regarding continuous. So I say, what were you doing at 4 o'clock yesterday? So let's say, I was drinking coffee with my friends. So the question is in continuous form, so I will use the answer in the continuous form too. Now let's move to E. The film was so boring that I almost fell or was falling asleep. The answer is fell because it means the completed action. Here we will move, we'll skip this task because we don't have time. We will move to the Kahoot competition together. You can take out the answers. Take screenshot, please. We will have a Kahoot competition together. Be ready.